Hello everyone and welcome to the first video of 2025. Thank you so much for being here. Today I will be talking about all of the books that I read in December of 2024. It's unreal to think that it's 2025. I feel like December was a very strong reading month for me personally. There were some flops, but I have some books that I really liked and connected with, and I cannot wait to tell you all about them. So let's begin. So the first book or books that I read in December are the Ember in the Ashes books by Sabata here. So this is the Ember in the Ashes series. It starts with obviously an Ember in the Ashes, and then it continues with A Torch Against the Night, To Repair the Gates, and then the last book, which is A Sky Beyond the Storm. I always forget the name of that book. And let me put these books down because they're very heavy. So without spoiling anything, let me tell you a bit about the first book in the series and the premise of it. So we are mainly following Laia and Elias. Laia is pretty much a slave, and at the beginning of the book, her brother gets into trouble. He is supposedly arrested for treason, and she tries to find a way to help her brother, and in doing that she allies with the rebellion from the kingdom, and they come up with this very convoluted way of infiltrating Laia in this military school to basically spy for the rebellion. Here she meets Elias, who is the son of the general from this military school, and let's just say Elias is not actually who he seems to be. An Ember in the Ashes, I feel like, is a very strong start for the series. If you pick up this series, just know that you will be heartbroken. I highly recommend An Ember in the Ashes by Subata here. I also picked up the newer Subata here release. I think it's called Air, and it's supposedly taking place in the same world as the Ember in the Ashes series. I'm very excited for that one as well. So yeah, this is An Ember in the Ashes, a very strong start for December. After reading An Ember in the Ashes, I thought, hey, let me pick up The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, because this is one of those books that I postponed reading for a really long time, and I felt in it for something that was not fantasy, because An Ember in the Ashes absolutely destroyed me, so I picked this one up. This is not actually what I expected, but in the best way. In this one, we are obviously following Evelyn Hugo as she is recounting the story of her life for this journalist to write her memoir, and she goes very in depth as to how she started to become famous. This is fiction. Evelyn Hugo is not a real celebrity or like a real person, but it feels very real in what it depicts and in this character's struggles with race, gender, identity. There's also like a plot twist at the end that, even though I could see coming, I appreciated the fact that this was not just her life story. It was that plus kind of like an aspect of mystery added on top of that. I really like this one. I feel like it's so popular for a reason, and now I finally found out why a lot of people love this, because I feel like this one tells a story that is very niche for this specific character, Evelyn Hugo, but in the same time can be applied a little bit to all of us. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo was a very nice surprise for me personally. Next up, I obviously have a flop from December. This is A Dark and Drowning Tide by Alison Saft. No disrespect to Alison Saft, but this book was a struggle to get through, and I just didn't get the world building. I just didn't get the writing style. I don't know what this book was trying to transmit or say, or what's the message of this book, because even though it's fantasy, like, it has to have a message. It can't be just the world building or just the characters or just the mystery aspect of it. It has to tell something, and this speaks about colonization, and I'm not exactly sure what it's trying to tell us or what it's trying to convey. I felt very confused while reading this. Like, I started reading this and I read and I read and I read, and then towards the middle of this one, I just stopped and started another book just because I felt like I couldn't get through this one. I heard this one is marketed as a dark academia, which is absolutely not. It's more so in the realm of Emily Wilde, but also it feels kind of weird for me to compare this book to that one because this was just not good in my opinion. The sentence, and I have actually wrote this down, so the sentence, back in the days when wishes still held power, is used in that specific format 8 times in this book, which is honestly 7 times too much. Why is that relevant? I get that you're trying to create this like very whimsical type of world building and convey that through the writing style, but it just didn't work. Also, you fool as a response is used God knows how many times. The characters were very flat. I just didn't get why they were romantically involved because in my opinion they didn't have like anything in common, and everything that happened with them felt so sudden and abrupt that I couldn't really connect with that or root for them in any way, shape, or form. Also, the mystery aspect to this book, come on now, it was just like so predictable, and the ending truly left me wondering if the author really knew what she wanted to do with this book, with the message, with how everything wrapped up. No, no. Enough with me rambling about the fact that I didn't like this book. Let me tell you what this is actually about. So we are following this academic rivals to lovers. This is like a sapphic story, and we are following Lorelai, who is ostracized from like a really young age, and as she's studying she gets really close with her mentor. Through her mentor she had this opportunity to embark on this expedition to find a spring that is supposedly the source of all the magic in the realm. The job of Lorelai is to try to find the actual location of this spring, collecting all of the folk tales that are circulating around the kingdom about this magical source, and combining all of those, we should get an approximate location. There are also other characters in this expedition, and in the first night, the mentor, the very close mentor that Lorelai has, and the head of this expedition is murdered. Lorelai, being the second in command, has to obviously take charge of this expedition, also communicate with the king about what happened, and ideally to find a solution to this whole mess, to find the spring, to get back to the kingdom, and to also find out who killed her mentor. And the thing is, because this is like a secluded environment, they're on a ship, the killer has to be one of the members of the crew. So she grows suspicious of everyone with the exception of Sylvia, who is our love interest. Again, I just don't see why they had to be together because it was not done well. I'm sorry. A Dark and Drowning Tide was a flop. After that whole like flop of a book, I was in a mood for something short, and I thought that this book is going to take me out of that state of just like sluggishness, and I read Thornhedge by T. Kingfisher. This is a retelling of, now I realize I don't actually know what the title of the story is, but it's the princess trapped in the tower. But this is not actually about the princess. This is actually about this other character called Toadling that was kidnapped by fairies from a really young age. And these fairies from this book are not the horny SJM fairies. These are the cutthroat Holly Black fairies. Now that Toadling is all grown up, she had to go back to the human world to complete a mission, and her mission was to bestow her blessing upon a newborn, upon a kid. But she kind of flops in her mission, and she says the wrong words as she's trying to bless this kid, and everything goes awry. And now she's trapped in the human world trying to correct her mistake from that day. This was a very nice surprise. Obviously, this is like very short. So I just wish that we got to see more of this character, but I love this story so much. As always with T. Kingfisher, you have a plot twist. Everything is turned on its head and the roles are kind of reversed. I like that a lot about this book. So if you're looking for something short, not necessarily sweet, but with a lot of depth, Thornhedge by T. Kingfisher. Next up, and I am very happy that I was able to read this trilogy. I read the entirety of Mistborn Era 1 by Brandon Sanderson, and again, I'm gonna put these books down because they are so big and heavy. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm just gonna hold the first one so that you know what I'm talking about. Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. What a ride. What a ride. I now understand the concept of a sander launch. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but basically it's this idea that pretty much all of Brandon Sanderson's books have this like really crazy ending towards the end of the book, obviously. Like, I could predict some things, and even though I just wished for a more compelling first book, I love these characters so much, and the story from the second and third books is absolutely bonkers, absolutely bonkers, to the point where I kind of had to take a pause after finishing this trilogy and thinking if I should continue with Era 2. And then I went on a complete rabbit hole on Reddit and I tried not to spoil myself. And now I don't really know what to do. Comment down below if you read more Sanderson books. What is your preferred reading order for them? Because from what I understand from the online discourse, you're supposed to read the Mistborn trilogy and then go with either Elantris or Warbreaker, and then possibly start the Stormlight Archive massive series, but at least that one is finished, at least the first arc. So I will research more and I will see how I will proceed. But my first true intro into Brandon Sanderson, because even though I read Tress of the Emerald Sea earlier in 2024, from what I understand, it's not that evocative of his writing style and the way that he tells stories. And after reading the whole Mistborn trilogy, I would agree with that. The catch with Brandon Sanderson is that his writing is so simple and so easy to understand. The phrase structure is simple. The writing style itself, it's simple. Where it shines, I feel like, is with its characters and magic system. This has one of the most unique magic systems that I have ever experienced in a fantasy book. It's basically this whole premise that the people that possess magical abilities in the world of Mistborn can ingest certain metals, and those metals will grant them a certain ability. They can burn pewter or copper or forgot the other ones, but each of these metals are granting them a special ability, and there are mistings that can burn only one type of metal, so they have only one magical abilities when they burn that specific metal. Or you have Mistborn that can burn all of the 12 or 16 metals and their allies. I forget, I think it's 16. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, in this trilogy, we are following Kelsier and Vin. Kelsier is the mentor figure, and then Vin is the trainee, or just like the character that is truly growing to the point where it just feels so surreal to end the Well of Ascension and then the Hero of Ages, and realize that all started from this point, from from the beginning of this book. Like, it's just crazy. I love that this takes place throughout multiple years. I think we start when Vin is 16, and then in the last book, in the Hero of Ages, she's 21, 22, something like that. So it really feels like you're growing alongside the characters. It really feels like this is a Bildungsroman. Is it a Bildungsroman if it's a series? I think it is, right? Highly recommend Mistborn Era 1. I understand that Era 2 is even better than this one. So I'm very excited to continue my Sanderson journey this year in 2025. And who would have thought that I would enjoy this book so much? Not me, but here we are. Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. Next up, right before Christmas, this is kind of dusty. I read Everyone This Christmas Has a Secret by Benjamin Stevenson. This is formatted as an advent calendar. Each chapter is a specific day, and on day 24 you find out who the killer is and who did it. I liked this one. I liked the reveal at the end. I was not expecting that, even though we had all of the clues along the way. I will say though, this is very on the nose. Like, the jokes in this one can be hit or miss. They're kind of like dad jokes. So, if you like that kind of thing, maybe you'll enjoy this. I was kind of in the middle. Sometimes I would enjoy them, but other times I would just feel that they are so overdone. I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. You made a joke. Calm down. But yeah, this was enjoyable. This was fun. I just feel like this book can be read at any time of the year. It kind of made me feel like this whole Everyone This Christmas Has a Secret. It could have been literally any other holiday or any other time of the year. It was okay. It was okay. Everyone This Christmas Has a Secret by Benjamin Stevenson. Next up, I have read a book that I was so excited to read in 2024, and it was staying on my TBR shelf for quite a while, and I am so happy that I read it. It is Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. In this book, we are following our main character, Theodora, or Dora for short, and we start in her childhood where she was visited by this fairy who wanted to take her into the fairy world to basically be his daughter, but her cousin was able to stop this fairy with some iron scissors. I think they were crochet, like iron scissors. And the fairy was able to kidnap only half of Dora's soul, hence the title, Half a Soul. And now, as she is going through life, she is just devoid of all emotion. She's very awkward and unaware in social situations because she doesn't really get how it is to feel embarrassed or angry or to experience happiness or love. I just feel like this book was very well done. With this specific type of character, I feel like it would be very easy to do it poorly and the character to be insufferable, basically. But Dora is so lovable in her bluntness and in her worldview. I was very surprised with how well done this is. I highly enjoyed this one, and it made me subscribe to Olivia Atwater newsletter that she has on her website. And when you do that, you receive 2 ebooks. They're novellas connected to this book. I read only one of those. It's called The Lord Sorcier, and it is the backstory of 2 of our main characters from this book. The Lord Sorcier was really cute. It was really cute. It was, I don't have the best track record with novellas, but I liked that one. I think it was fine. I wanted more of that backstory from 2 of these characters, and Olivia Atwater delivered. If you want to read something that takes place in the Regency period, if you want to read something that's historical fiction with a bit of fantasy that's also very self-aware, Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. Next up, a new release. that is marketed as being dark academia. And after the traumatizing experience that I had with A Dark and Drowning Tide, I'm exaggerating, like it was not that bad, but I just didn't like it. So after my experience with The Dark and Drowning Tide, I was very scared about this book. And I'm happy to report that this one actually delivered. Is it the best Dark Academia book? No. But it did what it was supposed to do, and that is An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson. This is following our main character, Lennon Carter, as her whole life is falling apart. She discovers that her fiance is cheating on her and she is very unstable emotionally. She runs away from her fiance and she's in the middle of nowhere. A phone rings, she answers, and she discovers that she was accepted to the Drayton Academy, an academy that she never applied for or even heard of. But she feels very intrigued about that phone call and she decides to go to interview for this academy. She has a very weird entrance exam, and after she passes the entrance exam, she discovers that she possesses this power of persuasion. Everyone at this school has persuading abilities. Basically, some people are more inclined to be able to persuade others, so they study how to control their power. But obviously, as something has to happen, as she studies at this academy, university, whatever it is, she starts to uncover more of this place's history, and we are starting to get answers that we wanted to know from the beginning, but we just didn't have them. Something that I was wondering from the beginning is how, like, what's the source of this whole magic? Like, what makes this school stay hidden from the rest of the world? What's with all the transportation magic that they have? This university has elevators that can transport the students to some preset destinations, and the preset destinations are like Beijing or New York or all of these other cities. And I was very excited to learn how that was possible in this setting. Let's just say that Alexis Henderson didn't disappoint. I really like how that was handled. I really like how dark and fitting for the magic system it was what was happening towards the ending of this book. I will say though, check the trigger warnings before you read this one, but if you liked Ninth House, I feel like you would really enjoy this one. If you're looking for a Dark Academia book and you read like the classic Dark Academia books, like The Secret History, If We Were Villains, Ninth House, this is a very good contender for this sub-genre, An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson. Next up, I have read a poetry collection by Wendy Cope. This is called The Orange and Other Poems. I wanted to buy like a physical copy of this book, but I couldn't find it anywhere in stock, so I just was able to download it on my Kindle. When I tell you, I'm obsessed with this book. Like, I don't know what it is, but I just felt so seen by these poems. I was watching Jordan Teresa and Jack Edwards like do their gift exchange for Christmas, and they mentioned in that video that both of them are obsessed with The Orange by Wendy Cope, and I was like, what's that? Because I've never heard of it. And lo and behold, this is The Orange by Wendy Cope, and I just love it so much. This poetry collection, I would say it's mostly about the feeling of being in love. It's funny, it's witty, it's relatable, it's heartbreaking, it makes you think, and it truly feels evocative of this sentiment and feeling of being in love, of being loved, of loving someone. And just to get you a taste of this, I want to read to you two poems from this book. The first one that I want to read to you is called The Orange, which is the title, almost wanted to say title track. No, it's a title poem. So it says, at lunchtime, I bought a huge orange. The size of it made us all laugh. I peeled it and shared it with Robert and Dave. They got quarters and I had a half. And that orange, it made me so happy, as ordinary things often do. Just lately, the shopping, a walk in the park, this is peace and contentment. It's new. The rest of the day was quite easy. I did all the jobs on my list and enjoyed them and had some time over. I love you. I'm glad I exist. And then the other poem that I loved and I wanted to read to you, it's called Song, if I can find it. Okay, here we go. So this is Song by Wendy Cope. My love got in the car and sat on my banana, my unobserved banana, and my organic crisps. We spoke of life and love, his rump on my banana, my hidden soft banana, and my forgotten crisps. He kissed me more than once as he sat on that banana, the newly squashed banana, and those endangered crisps. We looked up at the stars, beneath him my banana, my saved from lunch banana, and my delicious crisps. At last I dropped him off and noticed the banana, alas, a ruined banana, and sadly damaged crisps. You'd think he would have felt a fairly large banana, and if not the banana, the lumpy bag of crisps. But he's the kind of man who'll sit on a banana for hours, watch your banana, and guard your bag of crisps. He waved goodbye and smiled, "Banana's a banana. I love you, daft banana," said I, and ate the crisps. Completely in awe and love and fascination with The Orange by Wendy Cope. Love this one. And then last but not least, I read mcglue by Otessa Moshfegh. This is a short novella. This is under 120 pages, and I have to admit, when I started reading this one, I was very confused and I didn't really know if I liked it or not. I was able to acknowledge the fact that I loved the writing style, but that was kind of it. I didn't know in which direction this is going to go, and I just finished this one this morning, and I have to say, love. Absolutely love this one. Otessa Moshfegh has a very cool writing style. We are following this character named mcglue as all of a sudden he's waking up on this ship and he doesn't really know why he is there or how he got there, and we very soon find out that he is accused of murdering another person on that crew, a crew member, and he is suffering from amnesia, but also he's very drunk and he cannot remember if he actually did it. And this crew on the ship is taking him back to Salem, Massachusetts, where he is awaiting his trial for this murder. And as he is arriving in Salem, he is put in the hold while he's awaiting his trial. He is obviously not given any alcohol, and he starts to become more and more lucid, and he realizes who this person who was killed was and what this person meant to him. It's heartbreaking, it's sad, but it is so well written and so well done because the character is constantly in this state of confusion and uneasiness. It is written in such a way where, yes, it is unreliable, but it's also kind of a chain of thought where he just says what he's thinking, and it doesn't necessarily make sense until it does. I don't want to spoil too much for this one because it's very short, and I feel like you would enjoy it more if you don't know a lot about it, but this book made me very curious about this author. I know Otessa Moshfegh was really popular a couple of years ago for that book with the painting on it. It's called My Year of Rest and Relaxation, I feel like. I'm very excited for Otessa Moshfegh and very excited to experience her craft once again. This is mcglue. That was a lot and I feel like I ran out of breath, but now that I'm done with my December reading wrap up, I want to do a tier ranking of all of the books that I read in 2024, but I read more than 150, so that's gonna take a while. Thank you so much for joining me. I know this was all over the place and a bit chaotic, but I wanted to film this a day so that I have enough film to edit and to plan for the other videos as well, because I don't have that much time off. That being said, thank you so much for watching. I wish you a great 2025, and hopefully I'm gonna see you in the next video. Bye everyone!